and what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Oh, you're listening to Power Talk. It is a good morning with Beth and Melody Cedarstrom, where talk is real, truth is in the talk, and there is power in truth. And we welcome you on this Friday. Good morning. Good morning, Melody. How are you today? Good morning to all the listeners.
Good morning to you. Good morning to everyone. We just tickle ourselves with that song, don't we?
I know.
I don't know if the listeners like it, but we sure are enjoying it.
Hey, yes, it's open mic Friday. So if you like that song, we want to hear from you because we switched it up. And it was actually because I was singing it to her one morning. We thought, well, we should do that song. So 717-300-1218 is the number to call. It's 717-300-1218.
Well, you know, Beth, you made a statement right there that you said you were singing it to me, and you know what? Listeners might think, what? What's that?
Well, I sing a lot.
Yes.
We're 1,000 miles away. I was just singing it to her whenever we were connecting, getting ready to do the show. Don't make me explain everything.
I want to know. Goodness. The world wants to know, but you know,
inquiring minds want to know.
Excuse me, I didn't know this, but I saw when the White House announced a physical exam for Trump day after he slurred his speech. I didn't hear any slurring of speech until at the end of the statement when he said United States. And slipped. Well, I mean, I know, but I mean, and this isn't coming from, you know, this was announced by the White House by Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders yesterday, that he's going to be taken to the Walter Reed National Military Medical Center in D.C. In January, and he's going to undergo a physical exam, which I don't think is too much newsy. They all do exams when they're in office, and, you know, it really did but I can't believe Trump would have dentures. I believe he probably has, you know, good teeth. I mean, caps or porcelains or, you know, whatever. But, you know, I mean, with that kind of money, you just usually don't get dentures. You know.
I mean, unless you get really good dentures. Dentures ain't cheap.
If you're in good health, you have good teeth. There's no need to have dentures, you know. So you get them fixed. You get porcelains. You get you know, whatever, you know, they do to them, and you know, and you know, most of your movie stars and so forth, they got beautiful teeth, but you know, it's not, you know, they, you know, get them whatever they do to them. So I'm not sure. Unless I saw him take out his teeth, and like my grandma used to do and chase me.
Oh gosh.
But it wasn't fun. It wasn't done, and you know, we giggled and laughed. And anyway, so you know, I don't know what to make of it. I look at it as just a physical, and you know, whatever. But we have a caller. We have Neil on the line. Good morning, Neil.
Neil, how are you this morning?
Well, just trying to stay warm. It's a little chilly here, about 18 degrees right now. So.
Yeah, it's in the teens this morning. I don't like it, but they didn't ask me. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not fun using the outhouse this time of the morning, I guarantee you.
No, it's not.
What do you got for us today, Neil?
Well, I was calling about Pearl Harbor. Didn't get a chance to call in yesterday about it, but there was some information, secret information declassified about 5 years ago on Pearl Harbor. And what it revealed was that the criminals running our government at the time, you know, Roosevelt and Admiral Bull Halsey and a few of the general staff decided, you know, the best way to get us into the war was to use our troops at Pearl Harbor as bait, and bait the Japanese into coming in and attack it by making it a juicy target. That's exactly what they did. And then they turned around and blamed the admiral and the general that were in charge of Pearl Harbor. They blamed them, used them as scapegoats, claiming that they'd committed dereliction of duty. Only general officers in U.S. history ever be accused of dereliction of duty. and they were forced into retirement. Now, when this classified information came out, their grandchildren have filed suit against the U.S. government to get the names of their grandfathers cleared, who were both dead, of course, now. But what the deal was, the reason our aircraft carriers were not there is because Admiral Bull Halsey had them out on the ocean, and at this time we had already broken the Japanese code. The U.S. knew exactly where the Japanese Navy was, and Halsey was sitting out there with those 4 aircraft carriers getting ready to attack the Japanese fleet after the third wave of attack, because that was the plan that they had intercepted of Yamamoto to hit the Pearl Harbor in 3 waves. Well, the problem was, after the second wave, there was so much damage done, there was really nothing left to bomb. So Yamamoto, being concerned about, where are these aircraft carriers that he couldn't locate, he decided to book it on back to Japan. Well, by the time Halsey realized that the Japanese were headed back, it was too late to catch them. But the plan was to wait for the third wave to hit Pearl, and while they were out hitting Pearl, to sink the Japanese fleet. That was the game plan, but it didn't quite work out that way because Yamamoto freaked out on them and took off and didn't bother to launch a third wave of aircraft. But this is how we got into World War II. The whole thing was a setup, and they used our troops at Pearl Harbor as bait.
Well, I know that I had always heard that the president wanted in that war, and Congress was fighting him, and he kind of manipulated it in such a way.
Yeah, that's exactly what he did. He put his head together with Admiral Bull Halsey and a couple of the other staff and decided that was to be the best way to do it. Use our troops as bait at Pearl Harbor, and then at the same time it would bring us, because it would be a Japanese attack, that would bring us into the war because Germany was ally of Japan. At the same time, would wipe out the Japanese fleet and neutralize them as a real threat. Well, when that didn't happen, you see the mess we got into.
Yeah, we did get into a mess, that's for sure. I appreciate it, Neil. Thank you for the history.
You're welcome.
You have a great weekend.
It's been a mess ever since.
It's supposed to warm up a little bit, so
and it's
in
been
Missouri, we're in the teens today. So.
And it's been a mess ever since.
It has been. We were talking about something before we took Neil's, and I can't remember what it was, but that's okay. We'll go on.
Well, I'm just going to touch a little bit on gold. Gold today was up $270. This morning we're at $12.50, and I thought $12.50 would be a pretty good resistance level for gold. Broke through it a little bit yesterday, and so we'll see if it holds $12.50. I think it will. I mean, we might see some fluctuations, a few bucks up or a few bucks below. But I think all eyes, we're still waiting for the Fed to see if they're going to cut rates. And I think perhaps if we had to pick one thing on to why gold was down, you'd have to say it was, perhaps the anticipation of a rate cut, because you usually see a little bit stronger dollar and so forth. So these are normal reactions and whatnot. So we'll see if it holds this level, but I think it will. And, of course, then we had the pressure on the white metals. Silver is up a little bit today, almost 10 cents. Not a whole lot. It's still down below $16, so it's a tremendous buy. We were running a special yesterday on Silver Eagles, no shipping if you purchase 20 or more. So there'd be absolutely no shipping on orders of 20 coins or more. So it's a great buy. We will continue that again today. And the other white metals, platinum, the industrial metals, platinum and palladium, they're all down. And I think what we've really seen also is a split between the white metals, platinum and palladium, particularly palladium, and gold and silver. So not a bad day. We had a big employment number this morning. Jobs were up 225 or something like that, 1,000 for November. So I would anticipate, stronger markets today. And markets are brushing off any news of Israel or Korea, North Korea, or, anything else. So we have a caller, Beth. We have Ken in Ohio.
Ken, how are you today?
That's Tim.
Oh, this is Tim.
I'm sorry.
Come on, Todd. What are you doing?
Get your ears out.
Close.
Hi, Tim. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Great. I was just giving a recap. I was just giving a recap of the precious metals.
Yeah. My my take on all this is I think something is pushing towards a resolution of all these things that are coming to a head, and that's been happening for years now. But it looks like we're coming to the apex of it now, where there has to be something has to take place, because there's just too many things that are out there that are, you got the North Korea thing, you got Iran is actually ramping up. You get the Bitcoin thing that's just going off the charts, and people are buying that. They don't even have a clue what it's even about. And just you buy it and you make money in perpetuity. And the government is allowing this to take place, even though they can't. The IRS can't even figure out how to charge people tax on the thing. So people are making. So they're gonna deal with that. They're gonna deal with all these things, and it looks, and including the stock market that just doesn't really care about anything except for it's going to go up because it's and everything. And it isn't just gold and silver. It's all commodities are basically being, really down to extremely low levels of value relative to the currency. And it just has to have a resolution. This can't continue indefinitely, where you have this dichotomy between the things that are real and the things that are phony continue to gain value. And that's where we're at right now, and it's just like a fairy tale land that really doesn't make any sense unless they're coming to a resolution of some sort, whatever that may be. And then you got the Clintons being backed into the corner, and the Podestas and all these other people that are high ups that probably are not going to like that too well. So it just looks like a very dangerous time here. And then you've got North Korea that's talking about doing something possibly 17th, maybe another missile launch of some sort, in commemoration of Kim Jong-un's father's death, I guess, when he died. So all these things are kind of happening right now, and that I think people are getting extremely complacent and just buying into the fact that nothing's ever going to happen and everything's going to be awesome forever. And I just can't hardly I just can't hardly understand that. So, I don't know what your take is on it, but that's what I'm seeing. And I'm a metal owner, very frustrated, obviously, as everybody else is. But I know that when the finality of all this comes around, those are going to run big time, because those people that are manipulating this on the downside also are holding a large position for themselves. And when it goes the other way, they're going to make a vast fortune want to go in the other direction, and they'll manipulate it the other way at that time and run it. So it's a question of a timing issue now, and you hope to do it. This all happens it'd be nice if it happened in a nice fashion where people didn't get hurt and we didn't have a nuclear war, but around 75 years or thereabouts since the last time nuclear weapons were actually used that we know of, and it looks like it's kept that genie in the bottle for that period of time, or is it about ready to be opened again, is the question. I don't know. The capability is there.
We certainly are living in dangerous times, and if anybody had any, if you believed that the stock markets were so great, the economy was doing so great, you'd have a lot more money in the economy, you'd have higher inflation, prices would go up, and the dollar would actually be weaker. It doesn't matter what they do to the rates, but we don't have that. We don't have, what they so-called call inflation. But it just shows that we don't have those dollars floating around, and that those dollars aren't coming into the economy. But the only thing that we're going into, Tim, right now is a break, so we have to hold on.
That is dangerous, too, when the music starts playing. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the morning. The number to call it is Open Mic Friday. We'll talk about almost anything you want to talk about at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. And Melody and Beth Ann, then Tim. We'll be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188.
Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more, using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, C-R-O-S-S, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Full of power. And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth Ann in the Good Morning. And we have Tim with us, and he was in mid-conversation, he and Melody, and we're going to go back at it. Melody?
Oh, is Tim still there?
I think so.
Is he still here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, there you
All right. So I agree with you. I mean, it's just there isn't anything that makes sense, but ultimately reality strikes. The day of reckoning is coming, and and everybody agrees that. I mean, everybody agrees that we're just. I said we've gone off the cliff and we're just hanging onto that one branch, and that's beginning to break. Everybody agrees that's where we're at. But yet,
the problem
be merry, be happy.
The problem I've got is they know all this. They know everything we know, but they also know that typically before it goes too far out of control to where it goes to, it's already crazy levels, they have to do something essentially to change the channel and change the whole subject. And I think that we're rapidly approaching that point to where this can't continue, and they know it can't continue, and they know they can't continue this facade. The whole thing of Bitcoin, that was created, the idea, that concept was by the NSA, and now we've got that thing that's just, and there's just numerous cryptocurrencies out there, and everybody buys them, and then you make money forever, and it's kind of like, and they buy it, and they don't want to get out because they're afraid they're going to miss the big move to the upside. And it's the same thing with the stock market. You get into that, and it's easy to manipulate because when people get into it in their 401ks and all their different investments, they don't want to get out because they're being told it's going to be much, much higher in the future. And their stockbrokers tell them that. Everybody tells them that. CNBC tells them that. So you don't want to get out, and so they get you in there. So whenever something were to happen, say a cyber attack, or heaven help us, an EMP, all those funds and all those things are all interconnected together, including the Bitcoin thing, and all their wealth would instantly be wiped out. And the stock market would be one of those deals where you may not be able to get any liquidity in there to get anything for maybe years. You don't know when something major were to happen like that. And people don't believe that that's going to happen because it's interesting when they did some drills in Hawaii with the sirens going and everything like that for a nuclear drill. Nobody even paid attention to it. And they're doing the same thing here in the United States. On the West Coast, they've had some meetings on the nuclear preparedness, and nobody shows up because nobody's taking it seriously. So we would be totally shocked and surprised if something like that were to happen, because we just don't believe anything like that could ever happen. Nor is there any thing showing up in the stock market as far as a risk premium be built into the stock market. There's none at all. This absolutely will never happen. So, and yet North Korea does in fact have those capabilities, and so does Iran. And then China and Russia would be involved in something like that conflict too. Who knows what side they would take? This all gets and we're seeing all these things take place. So it just looks like war is something that typically bails them out of a situation that they're into whenever they need to wrap something up, and then it'd be rally around the flag or whatever, but it would serve their needs to do something like that. And the complacency at this point is saying, well, you got Christmas coming up, couldn't happen now, it's going to be sometime maybe next year. I don't know that at all. It just makes you wonder when we're just coming to the apex of this craziness that just is without end. Would that be an interesting time to do that? I don't know. Somebody else has got their ideas, but it's interesting to me to watch.
It was back in the 50s when people were afraid of a nuclear attack, and you had individuals buying bomb shelters, shelters to go and get in, and some survival foods of some kind. And, of course, we have a lot of survivalists now, and some of them have shelters and some of them do not. But isn't it interesting how it has turned to where we're so comfortable and complacent, or maybe arrogant, thinking we're too big to be attacked, kind of like the banks were too big to fail. It's kind of interesting how back then, people were constantly talking about a possible nuclear attack, and now here we're actually being threatened by Kim Jong-un, and everybody's thinking, he ain't gonna do nothing, he's just blowing it off and blowing off steam, and so I think it's interesting that people aren't taking things seriously, and I think they need to in every aspect of our lives. And I'm talking to Beth as well as anybody else. We need to get the house in order, so to speak. Have a plan. Have a plan for everything, whether it's a nuclear attack or maybe somebody breaking into your house and you happen to be there. Devastation of another kind. This town got shut down one time, Melody. I don't know if you know the history of it or not, when we had a gunman on the loose, and the town was shut down. Mm-hmm. And, I had just started a new job, and I had to call in and say, I can't come. I couldn't leave my 5 children home alone. And, so we were shut down, and there we were. Of course, it didn't end up into days and days, but it was a long period of the one day. So it was, you got to prepare for everything. You just don't know whether it's a storm that's going to keep you back, a storm somewhere else that's going to keep you from getting deliveries of food or whatever at your grocery store. So you've got to be prepared, and that goes into your financial portfolio as well.
I would agree. Puerto Rico is a good example.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Puerto Rico. And they're still have an ongoing chaos in there. And it's kind of every man for himself. And if you've got some preparedness set back, well, you're able to weather that better than those that didn't do anything. I don't think any of us' lives is going to be disrupted, but at least you can survive without having to steal from somebody or try and take somebody's life or whatever the case may be in order for you to provide for your family. Because people will do anything in a situation like that, virtually, just to keep their family going. It's what people do. It's the nature.
Yeah, one of us likes to say, "Bring America home." Keep the family going. Bring America home. A little plug for CSU Talk Radio. Sorry, that was selfless. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Tim, I appreciate it. We do have another caller that we have to get to.
Okay, sure.
We have
Great.
Thank you.
Good talking to you. Thank you
very much. We have Kevin from Ohio. Kevin, how are you today?
Oh, very good this morning. Kind of on the run. And we'll get to listen to kind of on the run, and I won't get to listen to the rest of their broadcast. Glad to reach you.
Oh, okay.
And it's a good morning. Cold.
It is a good morning. Yes, it is cold.
Yeah.
What do you got? What do you got for us, Kevin?
The avenue of conversation really makes my mind wander because good people call into your broadcast, and it's always the thing about all this exposure about people resigning. Isn't it good when you got your hand in the till, you should go straight to jail, straight to prison, but you just resign, and then you can vomit up who's going to be your replacement, all this stuff going on.
Isn't that crazy?
Oh, my. And the rabbit trail that sends you down looking at those exposures and looking at Hollywood, everybody, if I say Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, all these lights go up about USO and all that. They had, Bob Hope had a team of a consultant that paid all the women off all along his whole career. It was just it's a gangbuster. And part of the deal I can see that Trump has made, I think, is when he made the decision to stop the import of all these 6 nations into this country, quote, Muslims, and he did it when he knew he would give the answer to this thing about Tel Aviv and Jerusalem. And I think the timing that went through those courts was planned ahead. That's how he can deal. I really think that talent's there. And all the support we can give him. And there's so much more. I want to say God bless you, Melody.
Thanks, Kevin.
For all your broadcasting.
Thank you.
And both of you.
Thank you.
That's all I want to say. There's too much to say, really.
There is.
So there is too much. Everything the other people said, I concur. And say good morning to you then.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you
Good
very
morning
much.
to you.
So long.
And be
All
safe
right,
in your
you.
travels.
Yeah, be safe. All right. We are on Open Mic Friday. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. We've had some good conversations this morning. 717-300-1218. The Planned Parenthood, if you don't mind, I'll move on. If you had something else, I'll stay.
Nope.
Okay. Planned Parenthood is going, the DOJ is going to launch an investigation into Planned Parenthood, it says here, into the, they're asking for the documents from the Senate committee that investigated allegations Planned Parenthood but illegally profited from the sale of parts of aborted babies. The Center of the Medical Progress exposed the abortion giant's practice of harvesting and distributing the parts in a series of explosive videos. And that was back in 2015, and I think we all saw that, and it was just horrific. The arrogance and the lack of I'm trying to think of the right word, sanctity of life. They had no value in life as they were talking and wanting to make their profits bigger and bigger so they could get some kind of fancy car, Jaguar or something. I don't remember what it was. But I often thought, wouldn't just a simple audit of these organizations do the job? If they went in and audited the books of every Planned Parenthood clinic and then audit all the companies that they were doing business with, that they were selling anything to that came out of that clinic, wouldn't that wouldn't that get us to where we need to know what they exactly were doing with the fetuses, the baby parts? I think it needs to be done, and I'm not putting this down in any way, shape, size, or form, but I just thought, wouldn't a simple audit go in there and audit them? I say simple, a detailed audit. And then with any of these companies that were in question, audit them as well. And then you ought to be able to chase it down and find out exactly what they've done. But I think it needs to be done, and I'm glad that they're finally taking that seriously.
Yeah. We have Joe calling in this morning, Beth.
Hey, Joe. How are you today?
Oh, trying to get through this chilly weather. It was down to 10 here last night, actually down to 9 here last night. They were predicting 16, and it got down to 9.
And you're in the South.
I'm in
the South, 13
yeah.
here this morning. Yeah, it was 13 here in Missouri. It's cold.
Well, it was warmer in the north there in Missouri than it was here in Arkansas in the south. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's a competition I want to lose.
And I'm in flip-flops. I'm in Maryland, and I'm in flip-flops. No.
Oh, stop.
Well, anyway, what I called about was Neil brought up some very interesting little-known history of World War II that I found, very interesting to hear about. And Neil always has very interesting things to say. And so I wanted to, in reply to that, I wanted to share some interesting World War II history that I found out about recently that's very little known. And that's, I've recently read a book called Lindbergh versus Roosevelt. And as everybody knows, Charles Lindbergh was a great hero of American aviation. He was the first man to fly from New York to Paris, and he won a big prize that somebody was offering for the first person to be able to do that. And so anyway, and his father was a very patriotic congressman who opposed the Federal Reserve. And so anyway, but Lindbergh got crosswise with President Roosevelt, and the first issue on which he got crosswise with Roosevelt apparently was Roosevelt brought out kind of a crazy policy where he had Air Force pilots delivering the mail instead of commercial airliners delivering the mail as had been done before. And so Lindbergh objected to this policy. He said that the Air Force flyers weren't trained for this kind of flying, and this wasn't their kind of expertise, and that there would be a lot of accidents, and it wouldn't go well. And in fact, Lindbergh was exactly right. You know, there was a lot of accidents. A lot of Air Force pilots did get killed delivering the mail. And, Lindbergh kept on criticizing Roosevelt's policy over that. But Roosevelt was very, very reluctant to back down. Eventually he did. But apparently he had a hatred ever after that for Lindbergh. And then when Roosevelt wanted to get us into World War II, Lindbergh opposed that. You know, he was a patriotic America First type person. He remembered George Washington's advice that we shouldn't get involved in wars in the old world. You know, George Washington said that the old world is a hotbed of endless wars and conflicts that we shouldn't get involved in. And so Lindbergh was that kind of guy. And so he opposed Roosevelt on getting into World War II. And in response, what Roosevelt did was he set up a great publicity apparatus. I think he had friends in the media that cooperated with him completely on this kind of thing. And so what they did was they Roosevelt's apparatus accused Lindbergh of being a Nazi and a Nazi sympathizer and, on the side of Hitler and a friend of Hitler and all this kind of stuff. Exactly the same as they're accusing. So that was the Democrat president doing that. And, of course, exactly the same as the Democrats are doing now of accusing Trump of being, a Russian agent and a supporter of Russia and, Russia first instead of America and all this kind of stuff. And so Roosevelt did his best to absolutely ruin Lindbergh's reputation and smear Lindbergh's name, by calling him a Nazi and telling the people that he was a supporter of Hitler and all this kind of stuff, because he didn't want to get us involved in World War II. And then Pearl Harbor came along, and so after Pearl Harbor, there was apparently, and Lindbergh was kind of leading a America First committee of some kind that had meetings in cities all over the country, and that they were rallying a lot of people to oppose America getting involved in World War II. And then Pearl Harbor came along, of course, as Neil told us about, and after that, nobody much opposed America going into World War II, since it appeared that we had been attacked. And so, Lindbergh, Lindbergh himself stopped opposing going into World War II because of that, and he volunteered to help the Air Force, and he tried his best to serve his country as to help the Air Force with all his knowledge of aviation, which was, apparently he was one of the most knowledgeable men in the country in aviation. But Roosevelt went on giving him a hard time as much as he could, even though Lindbergh was doing his best to serve the country during World War II after Pearl Harbor. So anyway, that's a bit of interesting World War II history that I wanted to pass along, that I found out about recently, to go along with what Neil said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. I had something I was going to say something about that, and I've kind of lost it there. It was, the World War II brought us that greatest generation. They cowboyed up, after we were attacked, and regardless of what manipulation others were doing, we have a lot of heroes in this country. And I noticed, that when we were attacked at 9/11, we had a lot of people then that signed up to serve in the military following that. So we have people that really want to serve this nation when it gets hit. But regardless, I'm not trying to pull in calls for 9/11 talk. I'm just saying, regardless of the manipulation of those in charge, the heartland, the people of this nation love this country, and they will do whatever it takes to serve it. And I just wish they would all wake up and see what's going on, because we have actually been taken over by the deep state in D.C., and we need to realize that, and we need to fight them. Maybe not with guns and ammo, but we need to put a stop to their tomfoolery that's going on up there in D.C.
They are creating so many distractions, and you wonder, why these distractions are being created. Because if you believe that they control, much of it, you have to look behind why they are, creating these, these distractions and allowing these things to go to the direction that they're, and whether it's so for future attempts to impeach Trump, which he hasn't even done anything.
No, he's done nothing.
He's done nothing. I mean, it's even ridiculous.
Oh, they were impeaching him after his inauguration speech. Good grief.
I know. And like you said with Franken, I mean, they get to choose and pick who they're going to replace them and so forth. And, they are, what I believe, as far as the Democrats, I believe they are setting things up for the election. And I think this is a big part of why we see some of these things being done. And because they... so anyway, that's... we'll see how it all plays out if we get the opportunity to. If things don't begin to drastically change beforehand. And...
well, and I'm looking at both sides of that, and I am certainly no political analyst. I'm sitting here like everyone else is, trying to figure out what's going on. But there's one side of the coin where people say this thing with Franken is going to hurt the Democrats, and then there's the other side of the coin that says it's going to help in the next election. And I think we're just going to have to wait and see what really happens, because the American people is, as long as it is that we have been fooled, I think that they are waking up and they are seeing what's happening on both sides, the Republican and the Democrat side. It seems interesting that the Republicans are now trying to actually do something, well, at least make it look like they're actually trying to do something.
How would it hurt? How would Franken hurt the Democrats?
Just that he's because of what he's been through and their hypocritical side of it. They didn't.
Well, they didn't start talking against him until they heard our show.
Well, I know that. Then they were ready to throw him out. Oh, listen to Beth and Melody. What's going on? You can't. Those girls, they know what they're talking about.
They know what we're talking about. You betcha. But so it is. And you're right. We're going to have to play it out. Just like we're going to play.
And I didn't read that article. That was the top. That was the top title of it. And I was looking through the headlines, and there were several that said it was going to help the Democrat Party to get rid of him and Conyers, but then there was others that said it was going to end up backfiring on him. So we'll see. Well, and I listened to some last night. They said people are going to be afraid to even do anything to run for office if the way they're getting treated, with all these women coming out. And I think you and I agree on this. They keep saying, well, we have to believe the women. We have to believe the women. Why do we have to believe them? I don't think you should automatically assume they're lying, but don't they need to have proof? And I'm telling you what, if they aren't willing to give their names unless they're minors, I don't think we have to believe them.
I agree.
If they're not willing to stand up and give their names, then I don't think we need to believe them. And I don't think it should be, and I'm talking about on both sides of the coin here with the Democrats and the Republicans. There's just too much of this coming out. And it's just, Franken, we know he's a jerk. We know what kind of guy he is. And they knew when they elected him what kind of a guy he is. He never hid it. It's all in film. He never hid it.
No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, everybody
So
knew.
why are they in shock and awe now?
Yep. I get
Did you see that picture? Well, I'm sure that's not the first time that picture was seen. That's why they took the picture. He took it as a joke. He thought it was funny. Others didn't think it was quite so funny.
Oh, I'll guarantee you whoever took the picture and everyone else in that plane, the USO, because I'm sure they weren't just 3 of them in that plane, I'll guarantee you they all thought it was funny. And who knows? She might have even laughed. She might have even laughed after she was woken up.
When she woke up, yes. And now it's a big deal. And I'm not defending Franken in any way.
I'm not either.
You're listening to Power Talks. We're getting fired up now. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth, and it is Open Mic Friday. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. 717-300-1218, and Power Talks will be right back.
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased. It has been stolen, there's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we have returned. You're listening to Power Talks with Melody and Beth. Yeah, but Melody had to sneak out on us, you know. She does that on occasion. She's got things she has to do. And I said, no problem. Me and the listeners, we got it covered for you. So remember, it is Open Mic Friday. Your calls are welcome at 717-300-1218. That's 717-300-1218. Well, I did not see President Donald Trump when he slurred his words at the end of a speech. And I did see that, Melody, are you still here? Okay, she's gone. I did see that the mainstream media go crazy on it. Instead of concentrating on the important speech that he gave, they were saying, oh, he's unfit for he's not well. Everyone knows he's not well. They need to do something. They need to get rid of him. I mean, if it's not one thing, it's another. But something that he did do that I'm very proud of him for, and I think maybe a lot of us wish he would do this more often. It says President Trump, when he hosted the Pearl Harbor survivors at the White House Thursday to honor the anniversary of the tragic event, after which he eviscerated CNN's Jim Acosta. You know, kind of like it when he gets in trouble with Jim. The heartwarming ceremony involved some great commentary between Trump and the 5 veterans who survived the Japanese surprise attack. I don't know if any of you know any World War II vets, but they are special. They are very special. And I've got to meet a few in my day, and we are losing that generation. There's not very many of them left, so if you know one, you treat them with respect and let them know how much you appreciate them. But at the end of the ceremony, Trump invited the elderly men into the Oval Office. As they were heading out of the room, Acosta shouted a question at President Trump. Acosta shouted out to Trump, and he said if Trump had a reaction to Al Franken's comments early in his resignation speech that day. Apparently he said something about President Donald Trump. And so he says he made this comment, and Trump turned around and said, I didn't hear it. Sorry. And he went on. I didn't hear it. Sorry. So he, instead of playing to the crowd or giving Acosta any more than that, I think we should ignore them more often. I seriously do. I think we should ignore them more often. We have Sean from Ohio. We're on Ohio kick today. Sean, how are you today?
Okay. I just wanted to respond to a caller yesterday who claimed that, incredibly, that night is day and 12 noon is midnight, by claiming that the United States CIA-controlled media was glorifying the North Korean leader. It's absolutely, up is down and black is white to say that. And I think that this demonization of every country that the United States feels is not obeying Washington, the IMF, the World Bank, or Wall Street, or the Pentagon, is something that we've got to really question this dirty media, because I think it's a war criminal media, and people like high official even in the Reagan administration, the ultra-right Reagan administration, which was one of the main provokers and demonizers of Russia. Since he has left that administration, has said that all of this Russiagate and all of this warmongering against North Korea is total bunkum. It's absolute propaganda to drag us into wars. And that man is Paul Craig Roberts, and people ought to look him up. And I think they should look up a very important website called Global Research, globalresearch.ca. And they've got Paul Craig Roberts. They've got various people that were formerly with the State Department, such as William Blum, B-L-U-M.
Okay. Give me the website. Sean, give me the website.
It's globalresearch.ca.
Okay, that's what I did here. Thank you.
It's got a clearinghouse of people that very credentialed historians, academics, former government officials who got disgusted with the warmongering lies that the media and the government were involved in. And William Blum has pointed out that there's an article that he just wrote on Global Research about approximately, you could look it up under William Blum, Cold War I propaganda was stupid and dangerous. This present Cold War II propaganda is even more stupid. And he's referring to much of this Russiagate attack on this concocted Russiagate return to the McCarthy era, and saying that if you say anything that criticizes CIA or Pentagon policy around the world, you're just a puppet of Putin, and Putin made you say it, think it, and do it. And this
I'm gonna back up just a little bit to what's gone on in the current administration and campaign. They acted like it was terrible that President Donald Trump wanted to get along with Putin. Now, he didn't say he wanted to do everything Putin, but they acted like, well, that's just terrible. Putin was good until he wasn't. And we know that some of this other stuff has been happening where they've been selling out with the uranium and all that. And so I think you should try to get along with these. I don't think we necessarily need to go to war with any of them. I think we should be trying to get along with them. Not so sure about Kim Jong-un. I don't want to see us get into a war. I think we ought to be able to squash that before it turns into that. But you're right. We tend to be the bullies. We tend to be the bullies an awful lot of the time. So
absolutely,
I'm going to have to let you go. I apologize, Sean. I have to let you go because I've got another caller holding, and I'm running out of time. I thank you so much for calling in. Appreciate it so very much. And I've got the website. Thank you. We're going to go to Kevin in Ohio. Kevin, how are you today?
Hey, I'm back with you. I got down through a whole bunch of hills and hollows. And I want to tell you about,
because we're about out of time.
Yeah, success story with discount gold and silver. Back in 2001, I bought from Melody. Off a whole paycheck, I did a job out in Missouri. Sent it to her, and I bought, several ounces of gold, and that $325 an ounce. And later on, about 2000, whatever it was, when it gold went up so high, Melody, was it 10 or 09?
Well, she's not with us. She had to cut out. She's not with us on this segment. She had to leave.
Okay, so it reached its peak. I was able to sell 2 of those ounces of gold for $1,770 a piece.
Awesome.
I sold, that was awesome. It's $3,540 for 2 of those. And that was awesome because it sent my wife back to Belarus. She needed care back there where she was from, and I had taken that gold, and that's what I bought. Just with 2 of those ounces, she was able to go back to Belarus, and she had a story too because she was able to. Her grandmother had kept gold when the revolution hit in Belarus, and with 1 ounce of gold that her mother had hid, she got her into the Minsk Institute of Foreign Language, where she did 5 years of college. And that's how I met her, and I kept going over there. But that saved her by her getting back to Belarus to get an operation. She lived too close to Chernobyl. And
Oh, I see. Well, we're just about out of time, but that is just evidence that we need to all invest in gold and silver and have that in our portfolio. And I think 80-20 is what she and normally, meaning Melody, normally advises. But she always says gold is your savings account and silver is your checking account. So check into doing that. And Kevin, thank you for giving her a little plug. I appreciate that. 1-800-375-4188 is Discount Gold and Silver Trading's phone number. Write that down, 1-800-375-4188. She completely and fully sponsors this show. She is one of the sponsors on my show, CSC Talk Radio. They'll be on here. I'll be going straight to that when I get off of Power Talks. We're headed into a weekend. We're headed into the Christmas season. And we have much in this country to be thankful for. Even with the dark and the ugly that is around us, we have an awful lot to be thankful for. And I pray you have a great weekend. And we will be back on Monday morning with more news on Power Talk.
Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org. When it comes to prophecy today, much of the evangelical Christian world has their eyes on Israel, waiting and watching to see when the third temple will begin to be built. The plans are drawn. The Jewish people are eager. Most evangelical Christians today believe that the rapture will happen before the third temple is built. Hi, I'm Michael Eugene. I was taught that Daniel's 70th week was in the future. Is that really what the Bible teaches? Have we searched the Scriptures and found this to be true? Why is it so important for a reestablished Israel to build a third temple in Jerusalem? Is it necessary to build a temple on the same location already occupied by the Dome of the Rock? Is it necessary for sacrifices to take place in the temple on Temple Mount? Is there really a rapture followed by 7 years of tribulation? What is the New Testament temple? Can we identify history and prophecy? Who is the first beast in Revelation chapter 13? Who are the 7 kings in Revelation 17? I have asked all these questions, and I have found Nicholas Arthur's new book, When the Third Temple is Built, answers all these questions and more using Scripture to interpret Scripture. The Bible says that no prophecy of Scripture is of any private interpretation. Nicholas shows us in his new book, When the Third Temple is Built, how the Bible interprets prophecy and not man's private interpretation. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of Nicholas Arthur's new book titled When the Third Temple is Built. That's crosstheborder.org.
The book of Revelation says, the spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ. This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity. Invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.